Okay, call this meeting to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Okay, first item is approval of the agenda. I would ask that under new business, we had item J, which is the, we discussed that, giving you the authority. Oh, yes. What do we want to call that?
Authority to negotiate credit enhancement agreement with Columbus Seasonal Cottages. Pursuant to discussion in executive session. I'll repeat that, Dan, when we get to that item.
Yep, good. Okay, anybody else have anything they want to add to the agenda?
Move to approve that as amended.
Have a motion, I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Public comment. This is public comment for any non-agenda items. Do I have anybody who would like to state a public comment? Please state your name.
My name is Harry Porter. You may have heard of me at the last meeting. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I know this is not the forum for the planning board. I understand you don't make the decisions for the planning board. However, one of your employees in the town was pretty vehemently attacked and calling for him to be dismissed because I exercised my right to go out and talk to my neighbors. Okay? Mr. Redway in no way had a hand in anything I said other than me being in the meetings here and listening to the conversations. All right? So on behalf of him, I went around and talked, he made comments about what is worth saving in a particular area I live. I went around and talked to my neighbors. If I may approach, this is a copy of a petition that was signed by most of the neighbors who live off of Senate Road. It's contained from the brook out to Log Cabin Road. I didn't go around town trying to get signatures from anybody else. It was only about the people who lived in that neighborhood. And the original I'm going to give to the town manager. Thank you. As it's his employee. And another thing I'd like you to know is nobody who I've talked to has criticized any of the businesses out there in any way. All right? We were just simply pointing out concerns that may happen and what we want the neighborhood to look like. All right? And going against the plan doesn't seem the right way to go. The plan says to have something that blends with the neighborhood, that integrates well with the neighborhood, and maintains the quality of life for the people that live there. So I'd like to pass that on. I'd like to have that consideration, and I'll talk to the planning board as well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public have any comments? Hearing none, seeing none, we will move. Approval of minutes, August 25th, 2014.
Under section 4, I actually say that I abstained and Jason voted in favor, so I need to read the other way around.
On the minutes?
Yeah. For the Historical Society Mass Gathering, I abstained.
Oh, this was the minutes, though. As in section 4, it was approving the minutes of the 11th. Tom made a correction, and this was for the voting on the minutes themselves. Were you here at the meeting?
Previous meeting?
Right.
No, I abstained, I was absent.
Oh.
So that was for the minutes,
All right.
not for the Historical Society. You did abstain for the Historical Society and the old minutes before that, I believe. But this is just for these minutes, approval of the minutes.
That's corrected, all right.
So Jason was not here, so you abstained
I
from the
abstained,
minutes.
Okay.
So are they okay that way, right? So clarify that.
Under Article 8, though, I think you want to change the word impetuous to impetus.
Where we go? Under 8?
8, third.
Okay. Emphasis, okay.
Anything else? I got a motion,
Second.
as amended. All those in favor? Motion carries. Committees and board reports.
All right, the Chamber of Commerce has a meeting on Wednesday night, September 10th, from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Loud Home Ponds in Wells. I believe there are still tickets available if anybody's interested in attending that interesting meeting. The planning
Are
board
you
will
going to
be
be there?
I'm sorry, I will be there, yes.
Yeah, you'll be
Yes,
back.
I will be there receiving the President's Award.
Yes.
President's Award for Economic Development Efforts in the town of Orlando.
Be a busy day for you.
It will be a busy day for me, busy week for me. Oh, no, I'm not going to Bangor.
Okay.
No. Planning board meets Thursday, September 11th, 2014, 7 p.m. in the ML Day School Library. Economic Development Committee has actually been canceled for the 11th. So you can strike that from your agendas. I will be attending the planning board meeting on Thursday evening. Cannot attend the EDC meeting. Board and committee workshop, that date is, it says tentative here. It's looking like the majority of the individuals I've heard back from can't do September 17th. Leah's alternate date is October 1st. So if the board is available on October 1st, please let me know tomorrow. I'll send you out an email in the morning. But we'll do that workshop with the town's attorney on October 1st, which is a Wednesday at 7 p.m. here in the library. That'll be Board of Appeals, Planning Board, Board of Selectmen, Budget Board, Economic Development Committee, and any and all other boards and committees that are available to attend. And then Arundel Heritage Day will be held on Saturday, September 20th from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. at the AHS location at the corner of the Limerick Road and Route 111. Admission is free, Sam?
Yes.
Admission is free.
I have no board report.
Go ahead.
On the September meeting for the Finance Committee in Kennebunk is being changed. It's this Wednesday, September 10th at 7:30. And Joe Katera from Moores and Cabot will attend to assist the Finance Committee formulating a recommendation for the board for the school bond. And that is held at 7:30 a.m. in room 102 at Kennebunk Elementary School.
And I also have a planning board meeting report. This was a meeting of August 28th. First item was AIM Recycling, conditional use application discussing site walk findings and ruling on requested submission waivers. The board granted a waiver for a traffic study. Data was provided that it was only 28 trips per hour, which is well below the threshold. The waiver for groundwater study. They asked for a waiver to use a reclaim in lieu of asphalt. The board needed to see the proposed submission first. They're looking to put some type of a mesh that underneath the reclaim that will pretty much make it impervious. But they wanted to see exactly what they were proposing before they granted the waiver. And they waived the high intensity soil survey. The next item was a new application for a private way, a submission and revision for a private way on Laurel Lane. The applicant had a discussion with the board. The board wasn't really sure what the applicant was asking for, so they asked him to provide some more info and work with Tad a little bit. There was a discussion on whether it can be an extension of the subdivision or a private way off of a private way. So Tad is kind of looking at working those issues with the individual. Zoning ordinances, Townhouse Corner District, residents that stated for the record that it should be John Clough Lane. Left is what was voted on, which meant John Clough Lane not be included. That was one resident that spoke out, another resident spoke out that it should be. There was a discussion on contractor storage yard twos. This would make the businesses on John Clough Lane, it would make them conforming and allow them to continue on without any issues. And if they did that, those individuals were happy and they would not have to be included in the Townhouse Corner District. Again, another resident stated it should stay as is. There was some public input, lots of public input, and at that point, the chair cut off the public, said, hey, look, we've got to get to our business and get it going. So the board voted not to include the John Clough Lane as part of the Townhouse Corner District. The individuals that are on, the businesses that are on that road were happy that the contractor storage yards were there. They just asked that if they were to do that, that it be a separate warrant item. The chair stated that the item doesn't come under him, it comes under the Board of Selectmen, and I stated we would take that into consideration when it came. Tad presented some data showing various restaurants and seats versus a square foot size. The board agreed that the size of a restaurant will be limited only in square footage, and that was a 5,000 square foot that is limited for that whole district. There was a discussion on whether a contractor yard 1 or 2 in the Townhouse Corner District needed to be made. There was much discussion, there was some interruption from the public again, but no decision was made at that point on the board. I think they're going to review it again, but the board was kind of leading into not including contractor storage yards 1 and 2 into that district. Planning board business, planner business, stated that seasonal cottages, they plan on starting in September. 55 and older developments coming possibly in October. He didn't state where, but he's got somebody looking into that. Route 1 Gateway North, there are a couple of businesses that are interested. There are 2 private ways that are working at staff level, and he's got some calls, some rumblings on a subdivision that's probably in the works. And the planning board adjourned at 9:10 p.m.
And if I might only add to that, on Friday I did meet with the chair of the planning board and the chair of the comprehensive plan committee, and we discussed the concern for the ability to dissect this ordinance and bring it forth in different sections. And I believe at the meeting this Thursday night, the chair is going to discuss with the planning board laying out a framework skeleton to drop the work that they've been doing into this skeleton so that when we do bring it to town meeting, it can be brought individually or it can be accepted as whole, however the public wants to do that when we get to the meeting. So the intention is for the planning board to complete their work thus far, and then come to the Board of Selectmen around January and have a conversation as to how this will go before the voters, whether it'll be a single item or it'll be individualized. In the case it's individualized, we'll start with voting on the framework and then the individual sections as we move forward.
New business. Town manager, fire chief request to sell squad 1 to highest bidder due to mechanical issues.
Whew, some mechanical issues. I'll let the chief go in a second, but you'll see the letter from Chief Mullen. It's an 88 Chevy Diesel 70. It's got 90,000 miles on it. It's used mostly to take things to the dump and to bring the lawnmower from the central station to the substation, is my understanding. According to Brian Bossino, our new mechanic, you'll need about $3,000 or $4,000 to get a sticker. I personally don't believe, and I believe the chief is of the same opinion, that it isn't worth putting that $3,000 or $4,000 into that vehicle to keep it on the road.
Do we have another vehicle that we would use besides this for whatever this is being used in?
At this time, they don't have another vehicle. They're going to make do with what they have and use public work vehicles until we can get organized with the funding that we're getting from the new CMP valuation, get those RFPs out. So they'll be without a vehicle for probably 6 to 8 months to use for that specific purpose. But Chief, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, Deputy Tardif took any essential stuff that was, he's actually taken all the equipment off it, and right now it's sitting on the floor and saying, give us a little time to consider where we need to put some stuff we can do without. And then down, like Todd said, down the road, depending on what we do with TIFs, and then we can look at that. So we're also looking, think it's later in the agenda, putting RFP out for a new ambulance, which there's some talk amongst the personnel about maybe keeping the ambulance we have and kicking it back to replace the squad, and that's just, it's all discussions now. But talking to Brian, this unit is just, it's seen its life. Other, it was bought used. It just, I told Todd that to me it's not worth putting that kind of money into it. I think it's just going to be a money pit from now on. So.
There's almost always vehicles that are available for the fire department to use from public works, and we might be getting a jam and they need to move things around, so I don't believe that's going to be.
Could everybody speak up, please? I asked for these microphones in past.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. I can hear your conversations. I mean, up there, it's getting further away.
So I would recommend that unit be sold, barring any disagreement from the board.
We need a motion on that, that will go out for bid.
Yeah, it'll go bid highest bidder. In the event we don't receive any bids, we'll see what AIM Recycling is willing to give us and drop it off over there. But the plan is, once the batteries are charged enough to move it, it'll be moved behind the gate at Public Works, so that if people want to come and view it, there doesn't have to be anybody disturbing the fire department.
The only other thing I would add is I would ask, if the board decides to do that, then I would ask Brian to remove any identifying factors off it that's associated with the town of London. So it's not sitting on the side of the road somewhere and says the
They
London
want
Fire.
people to see what we used to own.
Exactly. That happened the last one we sold.
Well, you can still see Ken put on that.
Sure they'd like us to take that off too.
Well, it was taken off. It's just,
You could still
make sure letters on
Yeah,
it.
you can just,
It's
yeah,
always there.
10 years, they never really go away.
it fades on it.
Anybody else got any comments? Do I have a motion?
I make that motion.
Second. I have a second. All those in favor? Opposed? One abstain. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Town manager requests to sell Chevy Impala staff vehicle to the highest bidder.
Big sale here in Arundel. Martha Groom donated the Yukon to the town in December. And that staff vehicle doesn't really get much use. The more it sits around, the more the battery dies, the more maintenance that it requires. I spoke to Roger about this last Wednesday or Thursday. He said they don't need it. They have enough vehicles at Public Works. If they're going somewhere, they have something else they can take. There's not a huge demand for that Tahoe. I think we're fine with a single vehicle, and that takes some of the maintenance requirements off of Brian, as well as maybe reduce our insurance costs by a little bit. So I would recommend that that be sold as well to the highest bidder.
Okay.
I believe it's a 2004 Simone.
I'll make that a motion.
And a second. All those in favor? Motion carries. Inform selectmen of tax due dates and foreclosure dates for fiscal year 14-15 taxes.
Mill rates remain the same in the packet. Well, you guys have the mill rates, so remain the same. In your packet, you'll find all of the pertinent dates in regards to taxes for the town of Arundel. First payment due date will be October 8th. Second payment due date will be April 8th of 2015. And the foreclosure date for this current tax year will be January 26, 2017. I just thought it was important that you were all aware of that, in case people are asking. You know where to find the information. Or just send them to town hall.
Okay. Item D, inform selectmen of Down East Magazine's approval to use their logo to advertise Arundel as one of the 6 best places to live in Maine in 2014.
We're doing everything we can to bring more business to town, so we're gonna make it resident friendly. This actually was spearheaded by Jake Hawkins, who's on the Arundel Historical Society, but he felt it was very important for us to tout the fact that Down East Magazine called us one of the 6 best places to live in Arundel. These signs, Down East Magazine's given us...
Places to live in the state.
I mean, yeah, the 6, I can name the 6 best places to live in Arundel, I'm sure, in the state of Maine. So we're going to make 4 of these signs. They'll be affixed to all of the Welcome to Arundel signs. One of them, I call it north, it's probably east end of 111. So on the Lyman border of Arundel, the Biddeford border of Arundel, and then the Biddeford border on Route 1, and the Kennebunk. It'll have the Down East Magazine logo with kind of like a starburst, and it'll affix to the bottom of the sign, informing people that we have been selected as one of 6 best places to live and the only place to live in the country.
Who's paying for those signs?
The town is. It's going to cost $160 for those signs to be made. Logo use was for free, and Jake is donating a considerable amount of his time. He's only asking us to pay for materials.
Good. Item E, Maine Supreme Judicial Court to hear the Town of Arundel versus Du Bois Livestock oral arguments, 9/10 in Bangor.
That is this Wednesday. I begged Leah to let me go with her. She said there's really no need for you to go all the way to Bangor. If you're interested, I do believe the Bangor court system is wired for sound, so you can log on to the Maine Judicial Court website, Supreme Judicial Court website, and listen to this as it unfolds. If that's so is your desire.
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Good. Item F, Town Manager discussion with Selectmen in regards to the need for board and committee members.
If I put it on the agenda and say it out loud, maybe it'll solve the problem. But we do need additional members for the Economic Development Committee. The Board of Assessment Review is at 2 members in holding right now. We need another one. Fortunately, the appellant has asked to postpone the meeting because he can't make it to Maine. He couldn't make it to Maine on September 4th, so we're trying to reschedule it. Most likely it'll be sometime in October. But we always need members with energy and interest in their town. So if you know anybody, tell your friends. Call my
Pass the
office.
word around, folks.
Pass the word around. I see 1 member and a former member, but we can use all the help we can get. So anybody that's interested, just contact my office and we'll find a great place to make you happy. Mr. Porter.
Okay, next item is discussion with Selectmen in advance of the September 22nd meeting in regards to RFP to replace ambulance and fire department substation report.
Okay, so first and foremost, I'll start off with a briefing on the ambulance. We have had the conversation in the past that the ambulance is getting up there in years, getting up there in miles. The town of Arundel, as of this current fiscal year, has approximately $180,000 in the fire department capital equipment reserve. It is my understanding that that is close to, if not just shy of the cost of replacing an ambulance. There are 3, Chief 3 working on it right now, putting together specifications on the RFP to send it out to bid. I'd like the chief to have just a brief conversation with you about the need for the ambulance before we bring you the full-blown details in regards to the RFP for an ambulance. And apparently, once that, when we receive our bid, if we move forward to RFP, we receive our bids, there's a 7 to 12 month build time, is my understanding, on the next unit that will replace our ambulance. So Chief, the floor is yours.
Yeah, one of the companies said it was like 333 days or so, working days, which is pretty much about a year. So, yeah, the ambulance we have is about 14 years old, I think now, is what it's up to. And it's starting to look shabby. It's not real bad, but you can see the paint bubbles and stuff, and the floor in the back it's got 12, 14 years of service. I mean, it's starting to look, when you get into it, you wonder if we ever wash it. They work really hard on it. To me, the ambulance is one of those items that you don't want to wait until it starts falling apart and then think about getting it because you got such a long wait. To get 14 years out of an ambulance is actually pretty good. You've done really well on that. So I just think it's time. It's time to consider putting a new one in. Hopefully this one will get another 10 years, at least 10 years out of it, another new one, assuming that the calls will go up over the next 10 years. And I can't guarantee it. Hopefully they'll go down, but I don't see that happening. As more and more businesses come in, if the town's trying to bring in more business, it usually brings in more residents. And, I don't know what else to say. But I do plan on, I haven't really put it out to the personnel yet. My hopes is to get a meeting scheduled next week so we can bring the rest of the personnel in, get their feelings on it, see what their thoughts are. I also want to discuss the substation before we come to the selectmen's meeting. And then the other conversation is to decide, to discuss, and also with the board, on what we do with the old ambulance. Do we want to try to keep it? Do we want to try to trade it in? There's a whole bunch of options there, so.
So, any comments from the board on the ambulance?
So even once you get the RFP together, and you go out to bids, and you get that bid, you're still talking upwards of a year to even get one. So that means that our 14-year-old
be
ambulance
50.
will be 15 years old.
Correct.
Before it's,
Unless you buy a demo.
That's us, yeah, unless you buy a demo off the street. The
we'll
last.
be discussing that also.
Yes, we did actually have, we've actually had like 6 or 7 different companies with ambulances, have brought ambulances down. Some are, the best ambulances in the world. And one of the gentlemen did have a demo, and it's reasonable price. The problem is that it's a smaller unit. It doesn't have the headroom, it doesn't have the compartmentally space. And you can live with some of it you can let slide, but it'd be nice to make stuff that's gonna fit with the equipment we've had, rather than have to try to move things around or whatever. But Selectman was right, there could be a demo, some companies could have a demo out there and wanna put one in the area, we might get a heck of a deal.
So how long before you would be, what's your time frame to come to us with an RFP?
Well, I hope to discuss it at the next selectmen's meeting, and then we should be able to do it by the end of October at the latest. Probably sooner, but I'd like to give us a little leeway.
And I never said cheap, I just said it needs to meet the needs of the town.
Right. No,
Because there's a huge variation in cost.
yeah, you're talking anywhere from $160,000 to $220,000
Or more.
Yeah, or more. But I don't think and we need to be reasonable as far as the taxpayers' money goes. So I think we can buy something that's a good solid unit without spending all outdoors. So.
Anybody else got any other comments?
It's time, it's time, it's time.
Just to throw this out, what about, refurbishment, can that ambulance be refurbed?
To me, the chassis, I could have Brian look at it a little more, but I think the chassis is probably, it's 14 years, it's been around, sometimes, and the box, unfortunately in this case, the box is probably the worst of the 2 Eagles, because it's starting to see the wear and tear on the corners, you're talking paint. I'm not a big supporter of refurbishing ambulances. If you can get 14 years out of an ambulance, I think you've done pretty well. So, I could look into it, but I think.
Another problem with refurbishing, Dan, is you're losing that unit to 6 to 8 weeks. So you're either relying on mutual aid because you don't have a unit, or hoping we can, 10 months would have been nice to us in the past, but I don't know if there would be 6 to 8 weeks. So it's, you're down for a while.
The other thing is I'm not sure how much time that would actually buy you. If you put, I don't have no idea what a refurb would cost on an ambulance, but, if you ended up putting a third of the cost of a new one, if you end up putting $60,000 into it, and you buy yourself 3 years, you're probably gonna add half of that back onto a new buy 3 years from now, so.
I'm assuming new ambulances have different equipment and hookups and all that. It's.
But and one of the
Think
other
of modern technology, et cetera,
the other thing is we're looking at something a little bit longer, a little bit higher because of the equipment that we are carrying now, so to modernize. 14 years on an ambulance without upgrading it is quite a long time actually. So and kudos to the town of London for keeping it up and maintaining it. I think some more.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, having been on the rescue, I think when they first got it, I think they were thinking if they could get a life of 10 years on it, I think, they were planning on replacing it 10 to 12 years, because you don't want it to, I know there's been issues, I think, with the transmission. or-
Yeah, we've
You
got a
know,
couple
you
of
know what happens,
operators
get on a
issues.
call that you can't take off and go, or you get to a scene and then you're stuck because you can't. So, I think it's over the lifespan that it's supposed to be, been projected to be.
Standard things, 10 years.
10 years, that's what I thought too, on those ambulances.
Call volume.
And fortunately, there's been some really good judgment calls on behalf of staff, EMTs and per diems both, where there could have been some substantial damage done to the unit because of things that have gone wrong, and they made the right choice and didn't continue to operate that unit because it could have really caused some problems.
Yeah, it
So-
just happened the other day, they come back from a call, and they thought they detected an odor like a stuck brake, and they ran it down to Brian, and turned out one of the calipers had let go, and within 2 hours he had the parts, and 3 hours later had it all changed and ready to go, so. It's starting to cost, it's starting to cost a little bit here and there, a little bit more every year, so.
So with that said, moving that back to a squad unit, wouldn't we just be hanging on to the headache?
And I don't know if we need to move it back to a squad unit. I was gonna kind of throw that out to the personnel and see how they feel about that. My personal opinion is I think I'm more apt to want to trade it in and see what we can get for it, but, because it's just one less vehicle, but, one of the things is that the deputy said is that the squad with the squad, he could take the trash down, and he could kind of use it as a service vehicle, so maybe we can look at the other directions. I don't know if they get anything in surplus or not, so. I'm not sure what we can get for a trade-in either,
The
so.
squad really doesn't get that much use.
No,
either, so.
it's just,
I mean, we use it to haul ventilation equipment to fires, we use it to haul signage and whatever when we have major car wrecks and whatever, for traffic control and stuff like that. But I mean, it doesn't
Sometimes
go
not
out
much use is worse.
Yeah,
It's worse on a vehicle than.
it's like the town manager said, Roger's really good at public works, to let us borrow a vehicle here and there if we need to, so.
All right, fire substation.
Yeah, we had talked, I'm sorry, do you want to speak?
No, you go right ahead, Chief.
We had talked quite a while ago, there was a question, it's one of the selectmen, I think, it might have been one of the ones that's not here.
No, it was me.
Oh, was it? Had brought, and we talked about it. Well, I had actually had somebody come in and provided Todd with I had the guy go the full man. I says, give me a list of what it's gonna cost to put this thing back, what you think would be, top-notch building. And I said, but break it out so that the selectmen can look each section, which I presented that to Todd, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, to see what it is. And it's quite expensive, actually, to do it up to snuff, but I don't think that's where we need to go. The thing was to bring it back to you so you could see what the repair cost was, decide if or what you want to do it, and over a long period of time. There again, that's something I was gonna bring in to let the personnel from the fire department in on, to let them see what their debates, and I'm outside on this, I wasn't here when it was originally put together, so I'm gonna need their input to see what their thoughts are. The only thing I said right up front was, if the board decides to keep the building, then at least tighten it up enough so it's efficient to heat. Right now, I feel it's lacking in that, we'd have to do some repairs, I don't know exactly how much, I'd have to look at the report together, but I just wanted to kind of give you I assume Todd's reason for bringing it up is to kind of give you a heads up a little bit, to let you know where we're coming from. I want to go to the members and, see what their thoughts are, like, they've got the history of the building, so that's, I think, why we just wanted to give you the heads up that, and we do have a report. I told the guy right up front that when he gave us report, I'm not looking for to award a bid. All I'm looking for is just some prices, so I'll have a general idea of what to give to you people, so you can make some type of a financial decision, so.
Chief, if you're able to have that meeting next week with the members, I'd like to also have a recommendation from the members and the officers as to what they would recommend be the disposition of that building.
Because we really haven't done much to upkeep that building over the years, right? It's just sat there, it's just.
It's my understanding it may or may not be running water, there may or may not be a leach field. It is used technically for storage, in my opinion, at this point in time. And so I just need to know if there's any need for an additional station in that part of town. so we can make a decision as to whether or not we're going to revert that property back to the property owners or put some money into it to keep it up and running.
I did ask the town manager the day whether, if we did keep it, are we required to put running water or any of that type of stuff, and he's not sure. I gotta check with the CEO to see what the deal is on that, as far as that goes.
I think the only time you need that is if you're gonna put people in there.
Exactly.
That's what we would think, but.
It's a garage.
Yeah.
In my opinion, in my former code days, it's a garage, you don't need any facilities in there. I don't know if it puts it into a different use group where it's a fire substation. So Jim, I didn't see Jim today. When Chief gets back on Wednesday.
Actually, I'll be in tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Yes.
sit down with Jim and see what we would need to do to make that code compliant.
How much time do we have left on the,
It was a 99-year,
when did it start?
1950, give or take some change, I believe. Language, the way I interpret it, it belongs to the town, and we'd have to do a whole lot to void that lease. But it is technically, in my opinion, it's not a lease. So it was a gift of land, and there were certain defaults that had to occur before it would revert back to the default owners. But it has to be a fire station, period. Fire station of some sort. But yes, I believe it was in the 50s. And,
It was in the mid-50s.
Mid-50s, and it
I
was
was
a
on the department
99 year.
there.
You were.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
That building being there, does that have any effect on the homeowner's insurance? As a break for them?
Most homeowners insurance allow you 5 miles is where you get your break,
Is it
so.
5 miles?
3 to 5 miles, depending on the policy, so. A lot of the town is within that distance from here, I believe.
I was always under the impression it was 2.
No, it's actually increased with the modern equipment. More and more departments are running personnel, they're running per diem, so they're actually increased. It's somewhere between 3 and 5. It depends on your insurance.
And right now, we're not running anything out of it, it's just strictly a storage.
Right now, right? Well, the
And it's been
original,
that way for a long time.
if I understand, and maybe
Not
Dave.
that long. We were
No,
using-
we had like 4 people that used to live on that side of town.
Right.
All retired at the same time, and we just had no one on that side of town, so.
But we do have a couple of people that are now on and do live over there, so,
Don't have anything to put over there.
right now we just don't have anything for it.
It's running.
yeah.
So what's up?
Plus, we-
Okay. Any other comments on that? None? Move over to treasurer's report.
Any questions or comments on the documents that I sent you on Friday? If you notice the negatives, you'll see why I'm getting rid of some spare vehicles, because our auto insurance carrier increased our premiums by about 15% this year. So we're gonna try to whittle the fleet down a little bit and
Is there any specific
recoup
reason
some of
for
those
that?
costs. No, it was a last minute increase, there were no incidents, it was a company-wide decision on our auto carrier to increase everybody's rates. So I'll be meeting with Jeff Cole and the folks over at Cole Harrison to see if we can't shop that and see if we can get a better rate.
Because there are others insurance
It-
that are
Can
already.
you, when you do that,
Astronomical.
Yeah.
when you do that, Todd, can you just say that we've got about 7 guys that have passed the CDLs
Sure.
on the volunteer side? And we've got, we're gonna do that again this year, we're gonna push again this year, it was a pretty good response, so.
Let her know.
Okay. Item I, review and sign AP warrant.
So moved.
Have a motion.
Can I get a second? Second.
Second. All those in favor? Motion
And
carried.
library, so.
Item J, authorize town
Want me to do it yet?
manager to negotiate credit enhancement agreement with Arundel seasonal cottages pursuant to our executive session meeting today.
Yes, no, no, it's good for it.
I hear a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor? Motion carries. It was added on earlier.
What was it anyway? I've got a report here, I don't see no J on mine. Would you, reread that so I can hear it?
It's the authority to negotiate a credit enhancement agreement with the Arundel Seasonal Cottages folks pursuant to the discussion in executive session. So what it is at town meeting, we were authorized to enter into a credit enhancement agreement, and this is the terms of that agreement that we're negotiating with the developer.
That was the executive meeting here earlier?
That is correct.
All right.
Any old business?
Yeah, I got some old business here. Stan Kaczynski, everybody know me?
Yes.
Michael J. Peterson in here? Somebody must know him.
He's not in here, Stan.
Oh, good. Can I, approach?
Sure.
Thank you. I don't block the view. This was his resume you gave me the other day.
This is volunteer application.
Just check him out.
Did I check him out? No, apparently not as well as you did.
Got anything else?
So is it your intent just to pass this letter out? Not this letter, but this appraisal?
You people voted him in last meeting as,
Yes, he was appointed to the Board of Assessment Reviews, Mr. Kaczynski.
he was applying for two, was he? One. Zoning Board of Appeals also checked off.
Stan, it's just appointed to the Board of Assessment Review.
Right.
Town manager made his recommendation, the board approved that recommendation. That's all it happened.
That's all that happened.
Right.
He has a business address, MMC. You would care to elaborate on that?
He has a business address, what?
Business address, MMC.
Okay.
I would pursue the main medical center.
I'm not going to elaborate on that, but
He's a lieutenant colonel, correct?
I believe you have the document right in your hand, Mr. Kaczynski. You can answer that question yourself.
We're checking on it. I want to be accurate on that, because if you're not, you're going to break. We'll falsify government records.
We all set?
For now?
Excuse me?
For now.
Okay. Anybody else got anything else on the old business? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. At 7:45. All those in favor? Motion carries.